is an interactive newscast. We want to connect with you. That's why we live stream the entire thing on WFMY News 2's Facebook page. And we want you to join that conversation. Hop in the chat section and use our hashtag 4 to 5 so that we can see what you're saying this Friday afternoon.
All right, let's take a look at some numbers across the state when it comes to coronavirus. We're learning of 21 new related coronavirus deaths statewide. Our total now stands at 152, and there are more than 5,800 cases of the virus in North Carolina. Governor Roy Cooper says the state is now partnering with 3 universities to help the state improve tracing and tracking.
Please remember that every day you stay at home and practice social distancing is another day saving lives and getting us closer to reopening more of our economy.
Governor Cooper says the state still needs to build up personal protective equipment for healthcare workers before the state can work on reopening. So let's take a look at some of the coronavirus numbers in the TRIAD. Alamance health officials are reporting 47 cases and no deaths. In Davidson County, 94 cases, 2 deaths. And Forsyth County, no new cases reported since yesterday. So there are currently 126 cases, 95 recoveries, and 5 deaths. Guilford County also reporting new cases, 1 new death, so bringing theirs to 171 cases, 12 total deaths. Over at Montgomery County, 17 cases, 1 death. Randolph, 67 cases, 2 deaths. Rockingham is not reporting any new cases, so their total stands at 16 cases and 2 deaths. Stokes County also has no new cases. Total is 10 cases, no deaths. Surrey County, 11 cases, no deaths. Wilkes County, no new cases to report, so their total stands at 4 cases and 1 death. And finally, in Yadkin, no new cases to report, 11 cases and 1 death.
Let's get you caught up on the headlines of the day with your 4 to 5 roundup now. The city of Lexington's curfew is set to expire. The 9 to 5 curfew will end Saturday, tomorrow. City leaders say the curfew will not be extended. So once that curfew ends, people and businesses will need to follow the statewide stay-at-home guidelines. Those do not include a curfew. The Department of Employment Services is adding more staff to help you with unemployment claims. The department is tripling their staff by the end of next week. More than 1,600 people will be working for the department. Before the coronavirus pandemic, the department only staffed about 500 people. More than 636,000 North Carolinians have filed for unemployment to date. Yesterday alone, 19,000 claims were filed. Israel is going to start mass producing washable masks for people of all ages in the country. The Israeli government made it mandatory to cover your mouth and nose when you're out, and now they'll be supplying those masks to people. They're made of high-density cotton, similar to a bedsheet material. Masks can be washed and disinfected in 104-degree water and then reused for weeks. And rallies and protests are popping up all across the nation, urging state leaders to ease stay-at-home restrictions. Protesters gathered in Richmond, Virginia on Thursday after the governor there announced businesses would stay closed for an additional 2 weeks. On Tuesday, some protesters were arrested in Raleigh, our state's capital, for violating the executive order. President Trump announced new guidelines for reopening the economy, but health officials worry that opening it back up too quickly could be dangerous to public health.
And let's talk about those guidelines that the president has announced. He is planning on reopening the economy in 3 parts. The president says the nation will not reopen all at once, but 1 step at a time. So the first part, people can return to work as long as they're following social distancing rules. Large venues can reopen as long as physical distancing is followed, and states must see a decline in cases for 2 weeks before moving to the second phase. Restaurants, theaters, sports arenas, and places of worship can reopen while following moderate social distancing, and schools would also be able to reopen.
And now a petition is going around asking Governor Roy Cooper to let hair salons reopen. Stylists are asking for a little bit of leniency to open days before his executive order expires. WFMY News 2's Adore Achumba spoke to the woman who started that petition.
It's a petition on MoveOn.org being replicated in different states. The North Carolina version wants hair salons to have a soft opening on April 27th, just 2 days before Governor Roy Cooper's executive order expires.
we thrive and run on local businesses. And when those people who are trying to run businesses, they can't do it, it not only messes with the livelihood of their households, but of the whole city.
Keisha Lindsay runs the beauty shop in King, which, like many across the state, is closed because of coronavirus.
As a hairdresser, sanitation practices, like we do that every time. All the time. You don't use the same cake twice without it being laundered first. You don't use the same comb on John that you're about to use on Betty.
That's why she wants hair salons and barbershops to be allowed to open and take in one client at a time.
When you go to Walmart and there's people back to back, that's way more dangerous than coming and sitting in my chair.
If they tell me that I can open tomorrow I'm in the shop and I'm starting at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning if somebody's ready to come.
Rakisha Melton also signed the petition. She's ready to get back to work, but she's also cautious.
It's kind of hard to determine, is it a right thing for us to go ahead and open or should we wait? It's scary because you don't know if today is the day I'm going to come in contact with someone and they are sick.
This petition now has nearly 4,500 signatures, while another on Facebook to reopen the state has nearly 39,000 signatures. While the executive order expires at 5 p.m. on April 29th, Governor Roy Cooper hasn't said yet if businesses will reopen.
A TRIAD nurse practitioner is on his way back to North Carolina. Back to North Carolina, I should say, from New York City. That is the epicenter of U.S. coronavirus cases. Now, he said he went there because he had to do something to help struggling frontline healthcare workers. I caught up with him before he came back. New York City has more than 117,000 cases of coronavirus and more than 7,500 confirmed deaths. Being on the front line is taking a toll on healthcare workers.
They're worn out, mentally and physically. They're seeing all these folks die.
Jason Vaughn works as a nurse practitioner at James Austin Health Center in Eden, but he signed up to help feed healthcare workers in the Big Apple through a community-run program called Queens Feeds Hospitals.
They're very good meals. This is not something that just, they're not just a bag of chips, sandwich, and a piece of fruit.
Vaughn says the meals are much-needed relief.
Healthcare workers working over 12 hours a day, almost 7 days a week, to have a meal ready for you, especially as good as these meals are, I'm sure it makes them feel good.
The meals are prepped, cooked, and delivered by various restaurants in the city.
And these are the guys that do it all day long.
Vaughn worked with Green Top Farms, a farm-to-table catering company. They've sent 2,500 meals to healthcare workers, food pantries, and those who are food insecure this week alone.
I help put the meals together for about 4 hours a day. And then I hit the city a little bit and kind of get a feel for what New Yorkers are going through.
Vaughn says the few people that are out wear masks and move over if they have to cross paths with someone else.
They are social distancing. You can tell they're taking this very serious.
It's something he wished those back at home did as well.
Well, I think a lot of people in North Carolina are social distancing, but a lot of people aren't. And it's just, it's hard to watch.
Vaughn says seeing the response firsthand in a hard-hit area puts things into perspective, but he's hopeful we will get through this.
We have to really be cautious right now. Social distance, wash our hands, wear our mask, and just see where this thing goes before we start lifting restrictions.
Vaughn says he would love to see a community-started initiative to help feed healthcare workers like what he was a part of in New York City. He says he will be in self-isolation until a coronavirus test comes back negative before he heads back to work. Maddie.
Yeah, what a great thing he's doing. So appreciative of him and so many others who are helping those on the front line. You don't think about them not being able to go out and get food that has to be delivered to them, and to have those high quality meals, I'm sure they appreciate it.
Right, you need that protein to sustain those long shifts, and usually they already don't have breaks to begin with. So you can imagine with the caseload that a lot of the healthcare workers are facing in some of those hard-hit areas in New York City, anything that they can get is really appreciative. And what I love about this community, a program up in New York City, is people sponsor a meal for a hospital. So say I want to sponsor lunch for all the emergency room workers at Cone Health Hospital in Greensboro, then they could do something like that.
That's interesting. Hopefully we'll start to see more of that here. We're already seeing local restaurants, especially in downtown Greensboro, feed those healthcare workers. So always looking out for each other here in the Triad too. All right, Eric, what's the weather like today?
So, not all that bad from a temperature standpoint. Winds, though, no joke today, isn't it? They're all over the place. I want you to look at temperatures. We'll start out with that. It's kind of the good news here. 72 in High Point, 73 in Burlington. We've got 70 in Lexington and in Asheboro. Winston-Salem, you're at 69. Winds have been an issue, and boy, they just come at you hard and quick and then out again. 5 minutes later, same thing. It's not kind of a sustained winds, but the gusts are pretty bad. 33-mile-per-hour gusts just in the last hour in Greensboro, 29 in Burlington, 24 in Winston-Salem. Here's your short-term forecast tonight, 53 degrees. We will see clouds building in late. Not as cold tomorrow morning as it has been the last two. 67 tomorrow. After morning showers, we'll start to clear out a bit. Again, a little windy even tonight and tomorrow. Winds tonight, southwest 10 to 20 and gusting to 30. Tomorrow, they relax a smidge, but still very gusty. It's northwest 5 to 15 and gusting to 20 or 25. We're coming back.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. So many people have received those stimulus checks already. Others of you have not. And if you're one of the people who hasn't, we know you have a lot of questions. Our Verified team has some answers for you.
We're going to break down some of the top questions that many of you have sent us about stimulus checks. First up, can stimulus check money be garnished or seized to pay for debts? Yes and no. The CARES Act says the federal government cannot take these checks for most debts, including if you owe past taxes or student debt. But if you owe child support or other private debts to banks or collectors, the checks can be seized to pay for those. Next, many of you emailed us frustrations about the IRS site because you got this, quote, payment status not available screen. So what does this mean? Well, according to the IRS, it shows up if you don't qualify for a payment, if you didn't file a tax return in 2018 or 2019, if you filed through another part of their site for non-filers, or if you're a Social Security or Railroad Retirement recipient. Now, before you assume the worst, it can also show up if your information you type doesn't exactly match what's on your tax return. I personally had to capitalize the name of my road to get it to work. And finally, a few people asked if they have to pay tax filing companies to get their money. No. Some tax filing companies have put together tools to help people navigate these payments. And some of those tools also show options for paid tax services. But the bottom line here is that you don't have to use any of those. The IRS has its own site where you can put in your information and check your refund. Anything asking for money is for other tax services not related to the stimulus check.
All right, and here are a few other things to know about those checks. So far, the IRS has only sent money through direct deposit. No paper checks yet. They won't go into the mail until the end of April. Now, if you want to get direct deposit, you can log on to the IRS site and give them your bank information. But before you do that, make sure it's the official IRS site. Finally, Social Security recipients have not gotten their payments yet. And we are learning more about the Emergency Money for the People Act. That's the bill that two Democratic lawmakers are pushing that would give millions of Americans $2,000 a month during this pandemic.
And this would cover people not really covered by the stimulus check. Anyone above the age of 16 earning less than $130,000 a year could get a check for up to 6 months. Married couples who bring home less than $260,000 per year would get $4,000 a month, and people who are unemployed would be eligible. Families could get up to $500 per child for up to 3 kids, and the money would not be counted as income, so anyone on government-based income plans would keep getting that money. The bill would also let anyone claimed as a dependent, like a college student or a disabled individual, get their own checks. The proposal would also expand on the way people can get their money. The money would come as a direct deposit, check in the mail, or even through apps like Venmo, Zelle, or PayPal. Keep chatting on the WFMY News 2 Facebook stream. We love the conversations we're seeing. Always keep it respectful. We'll be right back.
Well, every day you hear the numbers, right? How many people have been diagnosed or have even died from coronavirus in the United States, in the Triad, and all over the world. But I want to take a moment and focus on the number of people who have recovered from this virus. According to Johns Hopkins data, more than 556,000 people have recovered all across the world. In the United States, there are more than 54,000 people who have survived coronavirus. Daisha, I think it's important to focus on those numbers because it does give people hope, but it's also a warning not to let our guard down because even though people are recovering, it is still one heck of a virus to get through.
Right. I am encouraged when I do see numbers, in the hundreds of thousands of people, because, sometimes it kind of feels like doom and gloom. I know we need to get the information out there and we want to get that important information on ways to protect yourself. But I always love to look at the positives and the silver linings and things. So I'm glad to hear that people are recovering. But as you said, we cannot let our guards down. Now is the time to double down and make sure that we are still keeping those social distancing guidelines to make sure that we're taking care of those who are immunocompromised, Yeah.
By the way, if you want to see that data, you can go to Johns Hopkins website. It is this green number in the top right-hand corner if you search for the COVID-19 case map. We are live chatting right now on Facebook. Join our conversation. Use our hashtag 4 to 5. We'll see you there. Welcome back to your 4 to 5. The North Carolina Zoo wants your help picking a name for their newest baby rhino. Now you do have some options: Ruby Bell, Etosha, Jojo, or Kendi. Some of you knew exactly what name you would pick, and our digital guru Brian Bennett is live from his home this afternoon. Brian, what names are people choosing?
I'll tell you what, Maddie, people are absolutely loving Ruby Bell. All right, so let's kick it off with what everybody's saying. I'll let you hear for yourself. Elizabeth says, Ruby Bell, we're Southern. She was born in NC. She needs a Southern girl name. Dee says she loves the name JoJo, while Angel says Ruby Bell. So there's another one for Ruby. Beth says she likes JoJo, and April says she likes Kendi. However, Miss Steiner says Ruby Bell. That was my grandmother's name. So I don't know. Me personally, I think it's Ruby Bell for the win. It's a little sassy, but still a little bit of class as well. I like it.
And that's Southern, right? A little bit sassy, a little bit classy. I like that. Brian, I like Ruby Bell. I think I'll have to put in my vote for that one. By the way, if you want to vote, you can go to our website and the zoo's website. You will find a link there. You know what? If it was a male rhino, I might suggest naming it Eric Chilton. What do you think, Eric? Do you want a baby rhino named after you?
Horrible.
No.
Horrible, horrible. Although I'm getting there. Just give me some time.
That is not what I meant. That is not what I meant.
I know. All right, let's talk about this. You know, we all need a little happy, don't we, during these anxious times that we live in right now. But one Summerfield family found it in a really unusual way after finding a washed out bird's nest after Monday's storm. So Dean Bailey says he was walking down the driveway after the rains and saw a nest on the ground with a baby bird near death close by. After calling the Game and Wildlife Commission, he followed the instructions to nurse it back to health.
So once he gets too big for this, we'll put him in the cage, and then probably about a week or so we'll let him go.
So for right now, they feed him. It's kind of unusual. It's wet dog food. That's what the Game and Wildlife Commission told him to do. They kind of break it up into little pieces, and they feed him multiple times a day with that little toothpick you saw. He has already grown a significant amount of feathers, and that was just in about a 4-day period. By the way, their 9-year-old son Colton decided to name the bird Buck, but they will release that bird back to the wild. Cutest video of the week, that's for sure. All right, let's chat with the forecast here. What do we have? We've got 53 degrees for your overnight low tonight. That means not as cold this morning, and I've been going on morning walks lately. 36 degrees is 36 degrees. It's a little chilly out there. 60 for your midday temperature. We actually, after seeing a possibility of maybe a morning shower tomorrow, we should clear back out after that. The satellite and radar combination showing clear skies all the way around. You can see the approaching front, but it looks like a lot of the energy of that may stay back up to the north, and we still end up with a chance of rain tomorrow morning, but it won't be a washout. Heading into Sunday, though, a different story Sunday night. We'll see some storms develop in the deep south. That'll move our way, and then we have that chance of maybe a Sunday overnight into Monday. Pretty heavy drenching there we expect to see. So we'll have the 7-day forecast for you coming up in just a little bit, and it looks like things do get a little bit better, not through the weekend, but the beginning of next week.
Hey, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together like a classic combination.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5 on this Friday afternoon. I'm Maddie Gardner alongside Tahisha Moise and Eric Chilton. We are excited to be with you. We are also excited to be able to connect with you. This is a live streaming show, so we are live on our Facebook page and we interact with you in the comments section there. So hop on over there and use our hashtag 4 to 5. Let's begin here by getting you caught up on the headlines of the day with your 4 to 5 roundup. There's a new foundation that wants to help restaurants survive during this pandemic. Samuel Adams and the Greg Hill Foundation created the Restaurant Strong Fund to help businesses take care of their employees in 20 different states, including North Carolina. Samuel Adams donated $2 million just to jumpstart that fundraising. Now each state has a goal of raising $500,000. So far, North Carolina has earned more than $100,000 of that goal in donations. If you want to apply for one of these grants for your restaurant, or if you want to donate, you can go to restaurantstrong.org. Organizers for the human race are lacing up their shoes to help nonprofits in a different way. You're taking a look at video from last year's race from our drone, Redbird 2. Now, the virus postponed this year's event until June 20th, but the Volunteer Center of Greensboro still has a goal to raise more than $157,000. 75 local nonprofits participate in the fundraiser, and you can help by donating online. The race will start in LeBauer Park at 10 a.m. For more information, go to the volunteercentertriad.org. And North Carolina's Crystal Coach beaches are reopening this weekend. Beaches will only be open to residents, though, and public beach access is still closed. Beaches and parks are reopening in parts of Florida at 5 o'clock this evening, but for essential activities only. And I love this story. A local man is proving that nothing can keep love apart, especially on birthdays. Gary's wife, Bibi, has been in a Lexington nursing home for 9 months now, and Gary can't be with her in her room because of coronavirus restrictions. But today, love found a way. Gary made a sign for Bibi that said, "Happy birthday to my little Bibi, I love you." And look at this, he stood outside of her window with that sign while nursing staff in the home saying happy birthday to her. Bibi is celebrating her 72nd birthday. Happy birthday.
High school seniors are now forced to find new ways to decide what college is right for them because, as you know, in-person college visits aren't possible right now due to the coronavirus. Now, to help students get that full Aggie experience without physically being on campus, North Carolina A&T State University is offering virtual campus tours. Prospects will get an inside look at the campus virtually and speak with Aggie ambassadors. The hour-long tours highlight academic programs, campus life, athletics, admissions, and financial aid information.
And so our goal is to service students and make sure that we provide the information. But also we want to make sure that when students are logging into our experience that they feel the spirit of who we are and the pride of who Aggie is.
There's also a chat feature where families can ask questions. Tours are on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m. Astronauts from the International Space Station will continue isolation even here on Earth. Russian cosmonaut and 2 NASA crewmates landed in Kazakhstan this morning, right in the middle of a pandemic. Now, due to coronavirus travel restrictions, NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Drew Morgan made it back to U.S. soil by helicopter and jet rides. Meir participated in 3 all-female spacewalks and was in space for 205 days. Morgan was in space for 272 days. Meir and Morgan will spend time in quarantine as a precaution once they get back to Houston. When astronauts return from space, they sometimes can suffer from weaker immune systems.
Well, operating the Mars rover is already a remote job since the rover is on a different planet, but NASA's team has to stretch what remote means for their operations right now. The NASA team is now operating the Mars rover from home. Yeah, the team had a mission scheduled for late March, but they were already working remotely. Now, this is the first Mars rover mission where no one was actually inside NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab in California. Just 2 days later, the Mars rover Curiosity drilled a hole in a rock sample. Now, most equipment like headsets and computers, they were sent home with workers, but planners really had to get creative for this mission. Using 3D images from Mars, planners analyzed where to drive Curiosity and how far to extend its arms. They looked at those 3D images, and that requires some special goggles, and those could not go home with the workers. So planners kept it simple. They used those regular 3D glasses like you would during a movie at a movie theater. Now, for driving the rover, it takes more than 20 people, and those people communicate over video conferencing and messaging apps. Eric Chilton, can you imagine operating the Mars rover from your couch?
Well, man. That'd be incredible. That's a dream come true for me. You know what a tech geek I am. I love that. And the fact that it takes 20 of them remotely to all work in symphony to make that happen, that's pretty cool.
And I love that they're using the movie theater 3D glasses to make it work.
Like they're watching The Creature from the Black Lagoon or something. Yeah,
right? Reminds me of
funny.
WALL-E or something.
All right,
like
let's chat about a forecast, shall we? With some winds that would that's going to be a problem now. These winds gusting up to 33 miles per hour in Greensboro. That's just in the last hour or so, by the way. 29 in Burlington, 25 in Asheboro, Winston-Salem, 24. So very breezy at times. Not a consistent wind, but it is pretty breezy. Tonight, 53 degrees. You'll see those clouds start to roll in overnight. Showers will develop late, which means toward tomorrow morning. And then 67 for the high temperature tomorrow. We're looking for some morning showers and then some gradual clearing. Overall, right now, when you look at our satellite imagery, yeah, you get the idea. We are clear for now, but that front will bring that little bit of rain tomorrow morning. And then we're going to see temperatures start to cool down a smidge, too. We'll have the 7-day for you coming up in just a little bit. Just know that those storms that we're watching for Sunday night into Monday morning, we may see an inch of rain across the area again. And we'll talk more about that coming up.
While we are all safe in our homes or others, staying away from others, doctors and nurses are on the front lines caring for those of us who are getting sick. Some making the tough decision to stay separately from their families in order to stay healthy.
15-month-old Zehra always runs to greet Dad after work, but never like this.
For me, coming up and seeing her running up, I was just trying to keep it together, to be honest.
Sam Shikali, an emergency physician, made the heartbreaking decision to separate from his family during this time to protect them from COVID-19.
I'm just one of many who are going through this.
The soldiers in this fight, doctors, nurses, paramedics, first responders, are answering the call of duty. It means tearful goodbyes to their babies. It means forgoing family dinners and warm embraces and goodnight kisses. It means celebrating milestone birthdays through a screen.
We had a virtual birthday party. It was really hard for a lot of reasons with our 1-year-old that we couldn't do the first one and couldn't do anything really much of for him. It was hard.
Every hello, every I miss you, every I love you.
Hi.
Hello. Distorted through a speaker.
You want kisses? I've been doing a lot of FaceTiming, or even driving by the house and them waving out the window. I can't take the risk of bringing this disease home to them.
Hotel chains like Hilton and Marriott are pledging millions of free rooms to first responders. Airbnb committing to house 100,000.
We needed to find some place for him to stay, and he's been bumping from call rooms to hotel rooms. It's nice that we have an option now.
Pop-up groups like RVs for MDs are connecting people who have mobile homes with medical staff.
I feel like I'm called to do this, and I do take pride in it, but
in a world fallen ill, these moms, dads, daughters, sons answer the call. So you don't have to say goodbye to the people you love.
He does ask every day when I can come home, so that brings tears to my eyes.
And although every mile apart might feel like an ocean, a homecoming on the horizon in a safer, healthier world is something worth fighting for.
Gosh, Taisha, those videos just tear me up. I've seen a few of them on social media of kids running to greet their parents who are in healthcare, and they have to either tell them to stop or stand behind doors like you just saw there. I don't even think thank you is enough to tell them for the sacrifices they're making right now for their family.
Honestly, it's hard for me to talk, you know, seeing those videos and just the pain that you can see behind their eyes. And there was the one video that really got me, and is this young child, she sees her dad there, and I don't think she really fully comprehends why she can't be with her dad. It really just puts it into perspective, the sacrifices that those in healthcare, you know, are making for us, and I am very, very grateful for them.
Yeah, and I love that we're seeing companies like Marriott and even private citizens rent out their RVs to these medical professionals so they can keep that distance from their families and keep them safe during this time. You know, when tragedy hits, we really start to see the good in people, and I love that we're able to look to the helpers, so to speak, right now during this.
There's always a helper if you find them.
Yeah. All right, let's check in with Tanya now, see what's coming up on 2 Wants to Know.
All right, it is the 17th of the month. What is the biggest bill that most people have due on the 1st?
That would be the rent or the mortgage, I would think.
Yeah, so very true. If your car payment is more than your rent, we need to have a talk about that, but let's stay on track here. If you can't make your rent, what should you do?
You should talk to your landlord before you miss your payment.
That is correct. Folks hate doing that, right? But it really is the best thing. Now there are orders in place to make sure that your landlord can't evict you, but know this.
There should not be any evictions going on. That doesn't mean people don't owe their rent. It just means that they can't be kicked out of their home for non-payment. If the person hasn't made payment, then theoretically, when the courts open up again, the landlord could evict.
So what should you do if your landlord is threatening you with an eviction, even though it's not supposed to legally happen? That is tonight at 6 o'clock. And a day can't go by, I gotta tell you, without some kind of stimulus payment story. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to take a look at this. If you're in one of these two categories, which is stimulus money went to an old bank account, or if you used a tax preparer like H&R Block or TurboTax and you got a temporary account or a debit card for your refund, well, your stimulus money was probably sent there too. Getting your stimulus payment could be a little bit more complicated if you are in these two categories. We're going to talk about some solutions coming up at 5 o'clock. To end on a good note, because we need to end on a good note, and I mean that literally, we're doing a whole half hour of good news, stories that bring joy to you in the middle of all of this mess. Do not miss it, starting at 5:30.
And coming up on WFMY News 2 at 5, we are digging deeper into what businesses are required to do to report during the coronavirus pandemic. We'll take a look at what they're required to tell employees and the public. Again, that's coming up next on WFMY News 2 at 5.
I got you. Okay. You know, we say it a lot, but you really can't say this enough, that our healthcare workers work so hard every day to keep us all safe. Now, one local organization called Christians in the Marketplace, they decided to take time out for them today, and they did something they called a drive-by thank you. Take a look.
I am very excited because I finally get to talk to somebody who said, you know what, I'm going to make a positive difference in what's happening out there today. This is what we strive for here on the 4 to 5. Good news is a good thing, and Julius Kuntz knows that very well. He's with Christians in the Marketplace. How are you, my friend?
Eric, I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, let's talk about what you did today. Tell everybody what the organization did and how it went.
Well, what we did, matter of fact, I put up a Facebook post and sent out a lot of notice to all of my friends. And I said, listen, this is what we want to do. We just want to do a drive-by thank you to those who work at the Gifford County Health Department. One of the things that I noticed that people were celebrating and appreciating other healthcare workers because they are on the front line, like the nurses in the hospitals and things of that sort. But then you have the other healthcare workers who kind of are the central data center for all of the information that's been processed, and they seem not to get any recognition or appreciation.
Thank you!
And just to see the look on people's faces was just absolutely incredible. So I really appreciate that.
That's what I was about to say. When you see all the thank yous coming back in the form of a smile, that's what it's all about, my friend. Thank you, Julius, for taking time with us today. Good luck.
You know, it was really, it's a good thing, and a thank you sounds so simple, but it goes a long way, Maddie. It kind of goes back to people just taking it only takes a minute. You know, when people do handwritten thank you cards, that type of thing, takes about 3 minutes, and it just goes a long way.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head there, just that extra effort it takes. You know, it's one thing to comment thank you on social media, but to get in your car and make a sign and drive by and honk your horn, it really takes a little bit more effort, and it really just shows how much we appreciate those men and women who are on the front line. I love that story, Eric.
Yeah, and it means so much to them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's check in now with Dehaysha Moise.
Yeah, so you know we ask you questions on Facebook every day. Sometimes they're serious, sometimes it's a little bit more lighthearted. Since today was Friday, I decided to ask something a little more lighthearted. Do you ever have a song that you just keep on repeat? Is there a song that's kind of maybe the soundtrack to your stay-at-home order experience? So I wanted to know what you guys can't stop listening to. So let's take a look at some of our comments. Jeff Griffin writes here, I'm a huge reggae fan. Lately it's been a mix of Pete Tosh and Steel Pulse, a mix of Rush progressive rock group. This is the first time I heard all those words together at once. All right, Barbara writes here, most anything Motown is my favorite. Also beach music. Hey, Eric Chilton, beach music lover. I love a big genre of music, old to new. Ken writes, I'm a big old school hip hop when I run. I've been doing a lot of meditation yoga lately and have been listening to an artist named Bonobo. His music is very relaxing. Kenny writes, I work from home and listen to 70s all day, every day. Oops, that's telling my age, LOL. So for me, the soundtrack that I just keep listening to over and over, I'm taking it back to junior high, High School Musical. We are all in this together. And I think it really is just fitting because we have been saying that so much.
Well, that's an appropriate song for this time, Dehaysha. I love 80s music. I think I actually dream in 80s music. So it's been like, I want to dance with somebody, Whitney Houston jam, some sunglasses at night if I'm really in the mood, you know, and I dance around my apartment. That's how I get my exercise in and kind of take a break from the work day when I'm working from home.
Well, you know, I love the TikTok dance videos, and so we need to do some duets and show the people because we both love to dance.
Yes. Girls just want to have fun, right, Dehaysha?
Amen.
All right, let's get a final check here of your forecast.
I love that Maddie loves 80s music because that was kind of like my time, some late 70s into the 80s. All right, let's see what's happening with, we're going to talk about our forecast because things are getting ready to change for us. The winds are going to stay with us for a little bit today, tonight, and tomorrow. Notice all the rain on the screen that's to the north of us, but we still have a chance of some showers here or there as that front moves by. That'll be Saturday morning, but then I think we go sunshine and we'll cool down a little bit for the rest of the day Saturday. The big thing here is as we head into Sunday night, we have a chance of those thunderstorms again and maybe some heavier rains. So a tale of two different days, but the rain on Saturday is all in the morning and then that clearing. Our long range forecast after we get past the weekend, Monday's a rainy day with 69 for the high, but Tuesday, Wednesday are beautiful, low 70s, all sun with rain slipping back in, 50% chance Thursday and 68, 67 and only a 30% chance on Friday.
Ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together.
Hey, mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're doing the story about Duke being beautiful in the spring.
Hello, Mic check, long time no see or hear.
They said they just wanted to get more information about it because it's like here at the UPS distribution center in Greensboro, I've seen several employees wearing.
Mic check 321. Mic check 321. Under.
Hello, mic check 1 2 3. Mic check 1 2 3. 4 5 6 7 8 9 10.
Yo, mic check 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5. You got me 1 2 3 4 5 6 1.
So I was sitting right here during the early part of my day. I was working, and I'll be the first to admit to you that YouTube is my rabbit hole, especially when it comes to music. Down I go. So I was looking up some story ideas, and I made the mistake of clicking on a YouTube music video, and off I went. Listening to everything from when I was a kid, to high school and college years, to even music that predated me. I've always been an old soul. I love music that I wasn't even born yet for some of them. But in this particular case, I was singing Cruising by Smokey Robinson. Cruising, what a great song. You know, I realized this is medicine for my soul. During these times when we're all trying to be tough and get through this and get out on the other side, music is the thing that relaxes me. And I'm talking about on a soul level, not a superficial level. I sang the song, lost in the moment. It may have only been about, 2 or 3 minutes maybe for a song, but it was enough. And even the lyrics spoke to me in a different way, considering what we're going through. And what are the odds of me clicking on that song? And then what he says is, baby, let's cruise away from here. Listen, don't be confused, the way is clear. Made sense. Tomorrow is another day. And another song. But that's just my 2 cents. And that's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.
I know you're probably getting tired of hearing me say this, but as we head into another weekend, please remember that every day you stay at home and practice social distancing is another day saving lives and getting us closer to reopening more of our economy.
Governor Cooper asks all North Carolinians to stay strong and keep social distancing as we work to reopen the state.
But before any decision is made to get back to normal life, more has to be done in the fight against coronavirus. In order to do that, the governor is turning toward more research in the testing, tracing, and trends areas. Governor Cooper also announced today that UNC, Duke, and ECU will help the state research the virus to get a better understanding of how it spreads. In the last 2 weeks, testing has increased by 88%. And as of today, there are more than 5,008 cases in North Carolina. Our two hardest hit counties in the Triad are Guilford County with 162 cases and 12 deaths, and Forsyth County with 122 cases and 5 deaths. Well, we are all navigating through this, and we still have a lot of questions. Here at News 2, we get so many calls from you asking us to check on this or that. We've actually taken several calls and emails about workplace safety during the pandemic. The latest concerned employees at a Greensboro UPS facility. We confirmed one employee died from an illness, but the company can't tell us if that person died from COVID-19. WFMI News 2's Grace Holland is digging deeper into what the company is doing to take precautions.
Here at the UPS distribution center in Greensboro, I've seen several employees wearing gloves and masks, and now a company spokesperson says that they are cleaning after that employee died. In a statement, UPS says it's focusing on disinfecting areas where that employee worked. I want to be very clear, the company says it will not confirm whether this person died of coronavirus and instead says that information would come from health officials. Now, the Guilford County Health Department says it's not releasing any information about potential cases at all. A local Teamsters post says the employee was one of their members and that they are working with UPS to test that person to see if they did die from coronavirus. The post says UPS should let them know what those test results are and encourages members who don't feel safe to speak out to Teamster leaders. The company says it is telling co-workers about the employee's illness and asking them to self-monitor for symptoms. Now, we don't have a confirmation of this employee's identity, and the Teamsters as well as the UPS says they are respecting the family's privacy during this time.
Well, just a few days ago, 3 workers at a Greensboro Harris Teeter distribution center tested positive for coronavirus. Harris Teeter tells us the workers are now under the care of a doctor. Harris Teeter released a statement saying, in part, we worked closely with local and state regulatory agencies, followed all sanitation and cleaning procedures, and communicated with and supported our valued warehouse team. There have been a lot of questions about what businesses are required to do if an employee tests positive for COVID-19. WFMY News 2's Aduria Chumba spent her day looking for answers.
Under North Carolina and federal law, a person's health information, including a coronavirus diagnosis, is strictly confidential. Employers are not and cannot, are not obligated and cannot disclose that information unless where the person in question gives permission to do that or the next of kin approves if that person has died. But what the employers have to do is connect with the local health department to report a positive case and get guidance. The health department conducts contact tracing and notifies those people who had contact with the person. They determine whether it is in the public interest to identify the coronavirus